Hello students, myself Professor Ankur. I welcome everyone for the GATE theory session of analog circuits. Today we are going to have an important discussion on Timer IC 555 as a stable multivibrator. This is our third session for Timer IC 555. So let's start with now Timer IC 555 as a stable multivibrator. So as I've discussed in the previous sessions, that IC 555 is basically an integrated circuitry that can also be used for oscillation application. So today we are going to use a stable mode of the circuitry, which is going to give you square or rectangular type pulses. So the astable mode of the multivibrator is basically an oscillator circuitry in which output oscillate at a particular frequency and generate pulses in rectangular waveform. The rectangular waveform can be also converted in the form of square waveform by slight adjustment in the IC 555 circuitry. So we can actually use IC 555 as an integrated circuit to generate waveform of precise time durations. So this is the basic circuit diagram of IC 555 as a stable multivibrator. It is slightly different than the previous diagram of monostable multivibrator, where we used to have an external trigger input at pin number 2. Here if you observe carefully, the pin number 2 is being connected to the capacitor C. Pin number 6 is also connected to the capacitor C. Between 7 and 6 we are having a resistance defined as RB. Between pin number 8 and pin number 7 we have a resistance defined as RA. Pin number 5 is having a capacitor connected to ground. Pin number 1 is the default ground, and at pin number 3 we are taking the output. So if I try to get the logic with respect to the circuit diagram, I can observe carefully that the flip-flop S and R will have two output, Q and Q bar, where the Q bar is the actual output of IC 555. Q will control the status of your transistor, which is going to work like a switch. We are having the upper comparator and the lower comparator. The upper comparator and the lower comparator, the signal coming from the capacitor, which is basically the charging effect of the capacitor or the discharging effect of the capacitor, it will be traced, and automatically the internal capacitors are going to generate control signals to control the flip-flop status. And with respect to the status of the flip-flop, the output and the transistor status will get modified. The capacitor is having a path for charging, which is from VCC, RA and RB. So now we need to understand how the entire system is going to operate. So whenever I talk about the operation, here we are assuming that the transistor is basically in the off state. If the transistor is in the off state, then automatically the value of Q is 0 and Q bar is 1. So this is our initial condition. I am assuming that the value of your Q bar is going to be 1. So if Q bar is 1, then Q is 0. If Q is 0, the internal transistor will be in the off state. If it is in the off state, automatically on turning on the battery, you will find that the battery is going to source a current that will go through RA, through RB, and then charge the capacitor. So the capacitor will start charging. So as soon as the capacitor starts charging, it is charging, and when the level just crosses the requirement of the upper comparator, that is 2/3 VCC, automatically the upper comparator will become 1. If the upper comparator gives you an high output, S will become 1, Q will become 1. If the Q becomes 1, automatically Q bar becomes 0. So what has happened? The capacitor started charging and the charging voltage has just crossed a level of 2/3, and because of this the upper comparator has responded by giving a high output. For that, S has become 1, Q has become 1, Q bar has become 0. As soon as the Q becomes 1, the transistor will turn on. Since the internal transistors had turned on, then the capacitor will discharge through RB, through transistor to ground. So now what will happen? The capacitor will start losing the energy. So since it is discharging, the voltage level of the capacitor is falling. And as soon as that voltage level falls below 1/3 VCC, that is the reference level for the lower comparator, as soon as the signal level of the capacitor goes below 1/3 VCC, automatically the lower comparator will give you a high output. If the lower comparator gives you a high output, R will become 1, Q bar will become 1, and Q will become 0. If the Q goes to 0, again the transistor goes in the off state, and again the capacitor can charge through RA and RB, and then the capacitor will again charge and go to the level of 2 by 3 VCC. Again, when it goes beyond 2 by 3 VCC, again the upon comparator will respond and the S will become 1, Q will become 1, Q bar will become 0. So if your observation is very sharp, this cycle will continue of charging and discharging, and the simultaneous impact will be there on the output in the form of Q bar. So this is the way the entire system is going to operate and will give you rectangular pulses. So what do we conclude from the entire operation? We conclude that the capacitor is always going to charge to a level of 2 by 3 and discharge till a level of 1 by 3. So this charging and discharging action will continue, or you can say the system will oscillate. So accordingly, you will get rectangular pulses at the output pin of Q bar, that is your IC555 output pin. So here I've discussed the entire operation where we are trying to justify that the charging impact will happen through the path of the capacitor and the two resistance RA and RB. But whenever the discharging will happen, the discharging will happen only through the RB resistor. So hence when I talk about the equation for calculation of the duty cycle, I will have to consider the on time of the pulse and the off time of the pulse. The on time is basically the charging time of the pulse, and the off time will be defined as the discharging time of the pulse. So during the on effect, you have to go for consideration of RA and RB, and during the discharging effect, we have to go for consideration of RB only. So here you can see the output clearly in the form of waveform, where the capacitor started charging and went to a level of 2 by 3 VCC, and the charging effect was happening through RA plus RB, and during the discharging effect, it was discharging through RB only. So when I talk about the two spaces, one is the high time and the low time, or you can say the on time and the off time. The total addition of the on time and the off time will give you the total time period of the pulse. So the total time period of the pulse actually includes the charging and the discharging time of the capacitor. So when the capacitor was charging, it was charging through RA and RB, and that's the reason the charging equation is going to be the time period of the on time, which is going to be 0.693 RA plus RB into C. But whenever we talk about the discharging happens only through RB, and that's the reason the discharging time or the off time of the pulse is going to be 0.693 RB into C. So when I talk about the total time period of the pulse, it is going to be the addition of the charging time and the discharging time. So it is going to be 0.693 RA plus twice of RB into C. So now when I talk about the duty cycle, it is basically a ratio of on time with respect to the total time. So the on time is basically the charging time. So when I take the ratio, I will get a duty cycle equation as RA plus RB divided by RA plus twice of RB into 100. So if your observation is very sharp, you can clearly observe from the equation that the charging time period will be always greater than the discharging time period, and that's the reason the default duty cycle for this circuitry will be greater than 50%. If I want to go for a modification under square pulse, I normally put a diode across the resistor RB, so that during the charging we are having only RA resistor, and during the discharging we are having only the RB resistor. In that case, the on time will get modified to 0.693 RA into C. The off time will get modified to 0.693 RB into C. And now if I want both on time and off time to be equal, I have to ensure that both the resistance RA and RB are of the same value. So automatically the duty cycle will go to 50%. And under the same situation, if I go for a RB value greater than the RA value, you will get a duty cycle less than 50%. And if I go for one more logic where RA value is bigger than the RB value, you will get duty cycle greater than 50%. So what did we learn from this entire logic? That if I use a diode across the resistor RB, I can modify the equations of charging and discharging with the help of the resistor values only, and accordingly I can control the duty cycle of the pulse. So this is how you generate a rectangular or a square waveform under a stable multivibrator mode using IC555. So now once we got the duty cycle equation, as RA plus RB divided by RA plus twice of RB into 100. I can also calculate the frequency, which is going to be inverse of the time period. The time period of the pulse, we have already got it as 0.693 RA plus twice of RB into C. When you take the inverse of that, we will get the value of frequency in hertz.